is up, guys? Welcome back to another Best Ball live stream here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name's Kyle. It is June 13th, Tuesday evening. We're going to be doing my final Puppy 2 on Underdog, which is a half PPR best ball site. If you guys are new to Underdog, definitely go check it out. Subscribe. There's a link in the description that gets you a deposit match. We're going to hop into the screen share here. We did draw the fourth pick. So we'll see what we can get here. And like I said, this is going to be my last Puppy 2. There's probably going to be another Puppy coming up at some point, but at the moment right now, it's 85.9% filled. I think this is going to be my 30th entry. So I'm fine with that. We'll wait for another entry. But otherwise, Best Ball Mania 4, still kicking it. That's only about under 20% filled. But I would imagine this Puppy 2, it's only here for another day or two. So check it out. It's only a $5 contest. First place is $150,000. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, the draft started. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill. We can choose between McCaffrey or Cooper Kupp. I'm just going to go with Cooper Kupp. I feel good about the Rams offense getting back on track. Also, I'm going to queue up my projections while we do this. Let's take a look here. I got to make sure that these are all half PPR. In half PPR, I do have Cooper Kupp as my fourth best available player. I want to filter by my flex tab and see where he comes in. I could have maybe taken some of the running backs in half PPR get pushed up my board a little bit. So I technically get my eighth. I have Cooper Kupp ranked 8th as far as flex players. I should have maybe considered one of the running backs, but anyways, I pass. I get one of the elite wide receivers. When you're doing underdog drafts, you kind of want to get receivers early. That's just the way it goes. There's going to be a lot of wide receivers in the first 2 rounds of your fantasy drafts this year, and you don't want to be without at least one top 5 potential guy. So to get JJ or Chase or Tyreek or Cooper Kupp, I think you want to land on one of those guys. The chances of these guys finishing the top 5 are probably pretty damn good. Whereas McCaffrey, I love Christian McCaffrey, just slightly concerned about injury history. I also do not love taking the first running back off the board because I don't know who it's going to be. I think it could be Austin Eckler in full PPR for sure, maybe even half PPR. If you play in half PPR, Bijan Robinson is going to be a guy that gets a ton of carries and opportunity. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, we're just wrapping up the first round here. Stephon Diggs made a little bit of interesting headlines today, not being present at mandatory minicamp, but he sounds like everything's going to be fine. He's there. He's just not participating. I don't know if there's a contract dispute. You have the head coach saying he's very concerned. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but Diggs should be just fine. Wow, Chris Olave at 13th overall. Interesting to see. I've never seen him go quite this early, especially over guys like Garrett Wilson and Jalen Waddle. But I get it. Doorknob here trying to do something a little bit unique. And I think as you do a bunch of these drafts, you're going to see some different things. People just trying to do a little bit something that maybe other people haven't done. So you got to kind of allow people to do whatever that they think is going to get them the most unique lineup. For us, round 2, ideally we get one more receiver with our 21st or our 28th pick. There's going to be a drop-off in receiver value at some point, I guess, in that 3rd round. So we'll see what happens. But we get a good opportunity here. And then I guess before we pick again, I just want to mention, if you're new to Underdog, there is a referral match. Let me open this up here for you guys. Invite friends, get $10 for every friend that deposits. You're going to get, your friends will also get their first deposit matched bonus up to $100. So if you put $100 in, you're going to get $100 back. So check out that there. Use the promo code TheFellowKGB. Get yourself going on Underdog. Underdog just, it's a beast, man. Everyone's drafting on Underdog here. We're almost up to pick. You see Waddle and Devontae, the last receivers. Nick Chubb. Running backs are shaping up for us here. You got Barkley. Pollard's falling a little bit. I don't hate Saquon Barkley. That does correlate our Week 17 Giants and Rams. Saquon Barkley talking about, sitting out and trying to get a new contract here. So that's kind of why he's falling. I don't necessarily think I need to take Saquon Barkley here. I think I'm going to grab T. Higgins just because he's kind of the last of those elite receivers. He does look best as a wide receiver too, but we're going to grab him here, and we'll see what running back falls to us. Again, I love Saquon Barkley. Slightly concerned about him not being in camp and reporting. He is my 11th ranked player here, so I think when he does get back. He's going to probably pull back up in his ADP. So we'll see. He's probably going to continue to dip, though, in fantasy drafts. And there he goes at 22. And I get it. I have Cooper Cup. I get the bring back idea, but I'm telling you what, I'm not super excited about the freaking Rams and the Giants week 17. I don't know if that's necessarily the game you need to have stacked and have bring backs and all that good, best ball bro stuff. So I will pass on that stack. We get Cooper Cup and T. Higgins. Only one quarterback in the first round, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts at 25. I have been getting, this is probably my fifth or sixth draft today. I've been getting Josh Allen routinely in the third round now. So if you're feeling it, you could maybe try and get Stephon Diggs at the 4, 5, 6 spot. And sometimes Josh Allen, he will dip to you. He will dip into the mid. Sometimes I've seen him in the back end of the third round too. And now you start to see Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews start to fall to the end of the third, fourth turn. I actually was able to get a third round. I got a third round Mark Andrews and a fourth round Lamar Jackson earlier today, and I felt pretty good about it. But anyways, we're up to pick DK Metcalf, kind of the last of the receivers here in that run. We missed on running back. I'm just not feeling Breece Hall here. We could take Josh Allen. I think I'm going to lean into DK Metcalf though. And the argument with DK Metcalf that I've been seeing is a lot of people prefer some of the other wide receivers in round 3 because they like either Lockett or JSN in later rounds. And I think that's incorrect. I mean, last year, DK Metcalf, man, he had career high targets, career high receptions, did not have career high yards or touchdowns. I think you're going to probably see some evening out among all of his stats. But year 2 of Geno, you're going to have defenses kind of focusing on Lockett and now JSN, which could help soften things for DK Metcalf. Dude only caught 6 touchdowns last year. I think DK. And sure, he's kind of this funny thing because in the past we've considered DK like a home run threat, whereas this year I'm kind of considering him as like a super safe, just a super safe wide receiver too. And we get him as our wide receiver 3. What I like here, FF Today does have Underdog tab here. He was wide receiver 18 last year. So there's DK Metcalf. T. Higgins, wide receiver 17. So we have 2 solid wide receiver 2s there, but DK only 6 touchdowns. I think that's going up. In his career, he has gotten 12, 10, 7. I did the math on this. Last year, he had like a 4.2% touchdown rate, compared to his targets. In his first 3 seasons, it was about 8.5%. So he had this weird statistical season where, of course, he was playing with Geno. The other 3 years are with Russell Wilson. But I would expect those 2 numbers to kind of meet in the middle somewhere, whether, that's 8, 9, 10 touchdowns. There's going to be more meat on the bone for a guy like DK Metcalf. So third round, I feel safe with him. Whereas some of the other receivers, like you don't really know what we're buying. Wow, Mike Williams. That's probably the highest I've seen Mike Williams go at 36 there. And Christian Kirk at 37. So aggressive doorknob on the end number 12 spot there. I kind of like it. You got to be aggressive. You got to, make sure you craft a team that looks unique and different. But what I like about this is today was like the first day we saw Mike Williams like on a practice field, which was pretty nice. A lot of people have been letting him fall to the 5th round, and that's kind of where I was scooping. He's got a back issue that people were kind of worried about, but it was nice to see him participating and at mandatory minicamp. I think his ADP is going to continue to rise. So if you're drafting, tonight, tomorrow, the next couple of days, you might be able to get, Mike at the back end of the 4th round, but I think he's going to slowly start to slide back up into this early to, mid 4th round range. The Chargers are just too cheap, guys. Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. I mean, you can get Austin Eckler as a late first, who's probably going to be the running back 1 this year. I feel really good about the Chargers offense, especially with their ADP being so cheap. But anyways, we're up to pick soon. We got Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, and DK Metcalf. We're kind of going with the muscle at the wide receiver spot here. There goes Jerry Jeudy. Look at this huge run on wide receivers. Oh, my goodness. There's been 8 straight wide receivers taken. There goes Najee Harris. Let's see what we got here. Looking at Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs. We could get Joe Burrow here stacked with our T. Biggins. That might be the move. I don't have a ton of Joe Burrow. So what I think I'm going to do, if we take Burrow here, we're not going to get him on the comeback because the Jamar Chase team will take him. I'm a huge fan of Diggs, but let's go ahead and grab Joe Burrow here, basically at ADP. I don't hate the pick. He's stacked with T. Higgins. We can maybe queue up another Bengal or two. Let's see here, Bengals. I mean, I don't love Joe Mixon. I don't love Tyler Boyd. I don't love Irv Smith, but we'll just put him on there. You want to build some stacks. And I'm starting to come around to the idea that elite QB is the way to go. And for me, Burrow definitely qualifies as one of the elite QBs. I think Justin Herbert is kind of the end of that tier where, I mean, right now you still have Justin Fields out there. He definitely qualifies as well. But I think for me, getting an elite QB and having, 3 or 4 stud wide receivers makes a ton of sense for my lineup. We got Kupp, Higgins, Metcalf. We stacked it with Joe Burrow. I don't know. We'll probably add a Chief or two at some point to get this Week 17 Chiefs Bengals game. I do want to pull up my. Let's pull up the playbook here. Let's look at the best ball cheat sheet there. We're on the clock now. So Kenneth Walker, we need a running back. I don't mind Kenneth Walker here. We could take Joe Mixon to correlate with Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. I kind of like that. There's Herbert. There's Ayuk. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker, though. We do need a running back. None of the receivers make sense here. And I think I kind of like, Kenneth Walker. We have DK Metcalf. We can kind of build this little bit of a Seattle thing. And I mean, the thumbnail dudes on the video are Pittsburgh Steelers. So that Week 17 game between the Steelers and the Seahawks might be something that interests us a little bit. And here's my cheat sheet. Let's see. So the Bengals, they get Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Kansas City. So I'm working on this idea called stacks within stacks. Obviously, everybody's looking at Week 17 as the games to stack. So Cincinnati, Kansas City, got it. But in order to get to Week 17, I have to advance Week 15 and 16. So with me picking the Bengals with my Burrow and Higgins stack, clearly I need Chiefs, but I wouldn't be opposed to sprinkling in some Vikings, sprinkling in some Steelers. I think that makes sense. And then stacks within stacks. Look at this. Pittsburgh, we're going to come down to Pittsburgh here. They're going to get Seattle. So Seattle, Pittsburgh, Week 17, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Week 17. And then I get a little mini correlation with Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh in Week 16, which I like that quite a bit. It's kind of like a little three-way triangle here that could be very fruitful for us. So let's go ahead. Let's queue up. Let's get some Steelers here. If we can grab a Deontay, a Pickens, a Pat. I don't know if we're going to be able to, but we will definitely put some of these Steelers on our radar here. We already got the Bengals. Let's look at Seahawks here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to grab any Seahawks, but again, I just want to be thorough here and start to basically start to build my draft board. And one of my favorite ways to just construct my roster is, let the draft come to you at the beginning. But as you are 3, 4, 5 picks in, you can kind of start to give yourself a roadmap as to what teams, what kind of build are you looking for. And I love this search filter where I can kind of figure out which teams I need. And again, let's put some Rams in there. I mean, Akers, Higbee, Van, Matt Stafford, totally cool with some of these Rams players. And I guess if we needed to bring those back with some Giants, we could take some Giant receivers late. But we're almost back up to pick. I'm just, reassessing my ADP here. 1, 2, 3. We got to survive 4 more picks left right now. There goes Trevor Lawrence. Treylon Burks at 63. Fingers crossed, man. I got a lot of Treylon Burks bags. I'm hoping he does not, have to line up across from DeAndre Hopkins. Hopefully Hopkins goes to the Steelers or to the Patriots. Yeah, that's probably some of the highest spots that I've seen Treylon go. He goes at the beginning of the 6th round most drafts now. Alexander Madison, a week ago he was a 7th, 8th round pick, and now he costs a late 6th, sometimes a 5th rounder, depending on who you're drafting with. And we're on deck here. I think this is a pretty easy pick for me once we get into here. And there goes Mike Evans. I love Dameon Pierce, Kyle Pitts, Jordan Addison. These guys are all great picks. But like I said, we want that correlation with the Steelers. Steelers play the Seahawks Week 17. So we got that correlation there with George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and Kenneth Walker. And then, like I mentioned, the Steelers are going to get the Cincinnati Bengals week 16. So not only are we stacking, for week 17, but we're getting that Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, George Pickens week 16 game. So again, that's a nice little mini stack within the stack. And I think at this point, I mean, maybe a guy like Darren Waller to stack, to correlate with our Cooper Cup here for week 17. Let's take a peek at the Giants schedule. All hail the New York Giants. Let's see, where can I read here? Saints, Eagles, Rams. Interesting little mix of schedule there. Cam Akers kind of sitting here before our next pick. I do like Jahan Dotson. I don't know if that gives us any. Oh, there goes Cam Akers. So we're looking at Swift. We're looking at Dotson. I really like Gabe Davis quite a bit. I don't know who Buffalo. We got 20 seconds. Buffalo's going to get Dallas, Chargers, New England. I'm kind of feeling Gabe Davis lately. We're picking at 76 here. Isaiah Pacheco. Let's grab. I don't love grabbing Pacheco, but I'm going to grab Pacheco because we do need a chief. For that week 17 correlation, we got Burrow, Pacheco, Higgins now. This might open us up to another chief running back or two. Maybe we look at Jerick McKinnon or something like that. But we got 2 running backs now. I feel pretty good about the group here. Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Pacheco, 4 receivers, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens. And we got the stud Joseph Burrow. Tight ends, I'm not sure where we're going to end up, but it's okay to be a little bit shy on tight end. We'll make tight ends work. Let me get the full board for you guys here. And we're just cruising through the 7th round. Some of my favorite, like Zay Flowers is shooting up the boards. I don't know if you guys saw the news on Rashad Bateman. He got a cortisone shot today in his foot. Of course, he's dealing with a Liz Frank injury recovery from last season. And first day of mandatory mini camps, man, he has to get a shot in that foot, to whether ease pain or discomfort or joint swelling. I'm not really quite sure what it was. But I am optimistic that, one, they're doing it now. It would be very worrisome if this happened, the week before training camp. Maybe this is just a precautionary thing. Get it done in June, heal up the rest of the month. And basically he's got, a full month and a half to get ready for training camp. So I think you're probably going to see Zay Flowers has attached himself to this wide receiver run in the 7th round, whereas 2 days ago, Zay Flowers was clearly in the middle to the end of the 8th round, where he is hopping all these players now and getting roped with the Gabe Davis, Jahan Dotson, Quentin Johnson. And this is a fun tier of wide receivers. And this to me, it kind of signifies, the end of the wide receiver run. You're looking at Elijah Moore as a guy that also could maybe join that group. But guys like Brandon Cooks, kind of another guy on the fringe end of that wide receiver run. Cortland Sutton, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman. You're going to start to see Rashad Bateman dip pretty heavily. Let me see Rashad Bateman's schedule. Jacksonville, San Fran, Miami. No division games as we're building a heavy AFC North squad here. I think I gotta queue up. I would love to get Pat Fryermuth here at pick 100 to kind of clinch our Steelers with Pickens and Pat. I don't really see anything else that I love coming up here. Wouldn't be opposed to another running back. I don't think Dalvin Cook helps us. I just feel really unsure on where he's going to go. Good evening, Mr. Tobin. Hope you're doing well. The puppy, man. The puppy, too. We're looking pretty good here. I got Joe Burr, Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Pacheco, Cooper Kupp, T. Biggins, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens. We're on the clock right now. Evan Ingram's there. Not a huge fan of Evan Ingram. I do like Rashad Bateman starting to fall a little bit. I know he's got the foot injury. I'm slightly concerned. I do like James Cook quite a bit here. I'm going to grab James Cook. He's just a good player and a good offense. I get it. He might be a guy that is kind of phased over in the first and second down, whether that's Damian Harris or Latavius Murray or something. I get it. But I'm buying the role as Josh Allen's receiving back. We've seen Devin Singletary go over 50 targets the last couple of years, and all of a sudden, that's a ton of upside for James Cook to be a receiving back now. And if he does somehow manage to get the bulk of the carries, then we're looking pretty good. We got Ron back, traded for Bateman before the news on this foot injury. Lovely. Well, hopefully you didn't have to pay too much. There was a Rashad Bateman trade in my league the other day. Maybe it was a week ago. Someone acquired Bateman and they just had to move a couple spots back in the first round, so it wasn't terrible. But yeah, Rashad Bateman. This might be a good time to buy him low. Obviously, it would have been nice to know that news before, but again, I'm not super concerned yet because again, he's got a full month and a half to get ready with this injury. I'm on the clock right now. I'm gonna grab Pat Fryermuth because I'm really building this sexy try stack here. We have here we got Joe Burrow at the quarterback for Cincinnati, Kenneth Walker, Pacheco, James Cook. Receivers: Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and Pat Fryermuth. Now we have a theme here. We got Bengals, we got Steelers, and we got Seahawks. Now week 17, it's Chiefs versus Bengals, which is nice. We have a little correlation with Burrow, Pacheco, and Higgins. Also in week 17, you have the Seahawks versus the Steelers. In that game, we have Kenneth Walker, we got DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and Pat Fryermuth. Now, the beauty part of all this is week 16, Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh. That's even more correlation because we're going to have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, George Pickens, Pat Fryermuth. We have a lot of correlation here in some fun games. So we're looking pretty well built so far here. But yeah, back to Bateman. I mean, he's got a lot of potential to fall here. Yeah, Lobby. He, he's going to fall pretty greatly coming up now after this cortisone shot. He's probably going to dip, and someone kind of caught him here. Let's see, Bateman at 95. Like basically, Bateman and Zay Flowers have kind of switched spots in the matter of a day, which is fine. But you're probably going to see Bateman slip into this 9th round. I'm probably going to start buying that. Again, I'm not super concerned about this. It's an opportunity for him to heal up and get ready for training camp. That's kind of what I view it as. So I think I would be more concerned that if this were to happen again in July, we got some problems. But I like that they're being kind of proactive and they're basically like he was on the field today. He was still doing some things. He had cleats on. So I think this is going to present an opportunity to buy the dip on Rashad Bateman. And if anything, maybe this just signals us to go buy Mark Andrews even more right now because you got a lot of questions at receiver, whether it's Bateman, OBJ, the rookie Zay Flowers. Apparently, Nelson Aguilar had a nice practice day today too. So there's a lot of moving parts in that Ravens offense, but I think it's pretty sure Mark. You got Mark. You got Lamar. What's going on with J.K. Dobbins today? He wasn't at the mandatory camp today either. Gus Edwards was, but I did not see J.K. Dobbins there. So he might be a little disappointed with his contract situation. Not entirely sure what's going on with that. But let's see here. As we're into the 10th round here, you're starting to see more green trickle in as this kind of becomes the running back sweet spot here where you can get a lot of guys that have, RB2 upside that look good as your RB3, 4 on your bench. Geno Smith falling here. A nice 10th round spot for Geno Smith. I mean, I would have considered it strongly here to get some exposure into that Seattle Steelers stack thing that we got going on here. But as we are approaching our next pick, this looks like we're in kind of line for a luxury pick here. We got Steelers, Seahawks, and all those guys queued up, and no one's really popping off here at 117. We could look for another receiver, of course. There's Odell Beckham, who I think Odell Beckham has a chance to, continue to rise. I don't love the schedule that we got here. Let's see. The running backs, I'm not in love with any of the running backs right now. Rashad Penny's going to continue to fall. Devin Achane, it's going to be a disaster if Dalvin Cook falls here. I think I'm going to go with Odell Beckham Jr. here. It doesn't feel great at all, guys. Kirk Cousins is falling. I just have no correlation here, so I'm going to let him chill. And I think with this Bateman news today, maybe it makes sense to grab a little Odell Beckham shares. Ron says, I thought he would have been healed from this injury, but apparently still bothering him. He's a risk right now, but if he can heal up and be the number 2 target on that offense, then he's well worth the price. And again, I think it's more precautionary than anything. Again, it's June 13th. When do the Ravens report to training camp? Ravens training camp, July 2023. I'm not sure if there's a schedule for their training camp yet, but it's going to be one of the last weeks of July. So we're 6 weeks away from when Bateman needs to be on the field doing things. And if this is just a simple precautionary thing, we're gonna look back at this time as like, yeah, we should have bought more Rashad Bateman during this time. I think my next pick is pretty simple. I did not queue up any Chiefs, but I definitely need to queue up some Chiefs here because there's a handful of guys here. I mean, we're on deck here, whether it's McKinnon, who's got the highest ADP available. I do want to get some Rashee Rice shares. But again, he would be kind of buried on my depth chart here. At the moment, right now, I'm totally not opposed to just grabbing McKinnon to grab. He's going to be our fourth running back. We got Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook. It's kind of a nice little play with Pacheco. And again, we're leaning heavily into that Bengals Chiefs game. I think McKinnon is going to be a solid pick. He's not going to catch the 9 touchdowns that he got last year by any means, but he will be useful enough and have some spike weeks. And RB4, I think we're building a pretty strong, well-balanced squad here. I just want to look around and see. So we have a lot of guys listed left. I just want to check, make sure we got all of our Bengals. Herb Smith is the last Bengal. Rams. We might need to get Matthew Stafford as our QB2 here to pair him with Cooper Kupp. Let's see. I'm just updating these orders. Zach Evans, Puka Nakua. These are some interesting names late. I wouldn't mind the Giants bring back Jalen Hyatt's probably not the guy for me. I do like Hodgins. I do like Slayton. These guys are super cheap and not expecting a lot out of the Giants receivers, but there could be a little something there. And I just want to make sure Noah Fant's the last Seahawk left here. And then Steelers. Let's see. It's Pickett. It's Jalen Warren. Not a ton of guys left here. Let's go back to our board. And let's just kind of take a gander here at the 11th round. It's crazy, man. Devin Achane, a week ago, before the Dalvin Cook, release, Devin Achane was going right next to A.J. Dillon, Brian. He was going at the end of the 9th round, which was just way too high for an unproven rookie in a committee with Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson at best. Now you might add Dalvin Cook to that, so that's always questionable. I do need more Khalil Herbert shares. We get McKinnon. Jared Goff at 125 is a pretty solid price. Looks like he stacked him with Jamison Williams. Nobody else on the Lions. Rondale Moore at 126. Aaron Rodgers, 127. Did this? Man, that would have been nice to get some correlation with Garrett Wilson. But one of my favorite players, and he's not quite ready to practice yet, but it's Kendre Miller for the Saints. We're going to have some huge Alvin Kamara news at some point at the end of July. I think it's July 31st is when he officially reports for his court hearing. But man, if that suspension comes down and if it's 6 games, that's Alvin Kamara right now being drafted as a 9th round pick. You're probably going to see, Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller flip flop and get, moved into the 8th, 9th round. Alvin Kamara fall pretty far. And some more running backs flying off the board now. I like Jalen Warren. I like Jamal Williams. Tank Bigsby, man, is just flying. He's just flying up the boards right now. A week ago, he was in the 150s. He just keeps moving up daily. He's one of those guys that's gaining a ton of steam. And if you're drafting Travis Etienne, I mean, a week ago, Etienne was a late 3rd round pick, and now I've seen him fall into the 5th round. So Etienne sinking, Tank Bigsby, he's tanking along, man. He's gaining a full head of steam right now. Rashee Rice, man, if we can get a little Rashee Rice, he's my best available in my queue. There are some tight ends available here. Dalton Kincaid, Chigo Okonkwo. I'm a big Romeo Doubs guy. I think he's a guy that is in for a 2nd-year leap. Otherwise, I don't see a ton of people that I need right now. It's probably going to 2 picks left. I don't want to say it because I always end up jinxing it. But, taking a shot on, some of these rookies from the Chiefs, man. Rashee Rice, we'll see what we can do if we can get him here. Come on, let him through. Let him through. He's got a 134.4 ADP. We're going to be picking 141 here, and we get him. So he's going to be our wide receiver 6. This is a good bet. We're leaning again into that Chiefs Bengals Week 17 game. We get a pretty good Rashee Rice fall here, and I mean I've seen Rashee Rice go in the 10th round. To get him here at 141, I do feel pretty solid about, and we'll see what happens on the fallback here. We've built a pretty well balanced roster so far. I do need another tight end. I'm thinking about maybe taking a little Tyler Higbee here, and we can maybe think about Matthew Stafford getting lined up here with us at the 165 spot. Sometimes he falls. That might be interesting here. Stafford and Burrow. I don't hate that duo. Don't hate that duo at all. There goes Chico Conquo. Let's go back here. KJ Osborne is a guy that I'm excited about. I've been trying to draft him more. At the 13th round, you're getting the Vikings' third wide receiver. Vikings, like, think of the Vikings as what the Rams were, with Jared Goff when they had, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson. Like, they were a 3 wide receiver set team. KJ Osborne, man, is a guy that I think is mispriced significantly. And you see what Great here did with his first pick. I mean, he obviously got Justin Jefferson. He lined up TJ Hawkinson. He lined up Kirk Cousins, and he lined up KJ Osborne. He's building a really nice Viking stack here. Obviously, Jordan Addison's the only guy missing, but I like what he's brewing there, man. Dalton Schultz, the best tight end available. Tyler Higbee. Do I get Herb Smith here and tack him on to my big stack of Bengals here? I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do Herb Smith. I don't love Herb Smith, but again, we're leaning heavily into that Bengals stack there with the Chiefs. He's our tight end too. We'll probably grab one more tight end. I think at this point it really doesn't matter. We can get Noah Fant for free to get some more correlation in that Seattle-Pittsburgh Week 17 game. And again, we mentioned Seattle's just one of those teams that we've been trying to target a ton of. And man, oh man, fantasy baseball, man, my damn pitcher getting hit. Oh my goodness, Chris Baseman. Yep. Oh my God, sad. Chris Bassett just getting wrecked. But anyways, let's get back into the football mindset here. A lot of tight ends as we're getting in the 12th and 13th round, and one of the common themes of this season for best ball is late tight end is the thing that you want to be doing. It's always good to get the Kelsey, the Mark Andrews if you can, but ideally people are grabbing 3 tight ends in a draft now. You can make 2 work, but honestly, I prefer 3, just because you could start 2 tight ends. Like if you have Kelsey and say you got, Chigoziem Okonkwo, you could end up flexing Chig one week. And because of that, I think because you can start 2, to me, that means I want a backup. I want 3. Whereas quarterback, you can only start 1. I think it makes more sense to just stick with 2 quarterbacks, get a stud. That way you only have to rely on one other guy. That you still don't want to get a slappy as your number 2. You want someone pretty decent, but you can only start 1 QB. With running back, you got 2 starting running backs, so I for sure need 4. I want a backup for each running back, and then I kind of want that 5th or sometimes that 6th one at the receiver position. You start 3 wide receivers, you get a flex. So to me, I kind of want to think of that as 4 wide receivers for sure, and you want to end up with about 7 or 8 wide receivers. So that's kind of how I've been doing my roster construction. And like I said, this is my last puppy, probably my favorite one so far. I'm feeling pretty strongly about this one. And now we just gotta land it and bring it on home. We're almost back up to pick here. Those Rams are falling, whether it's Higbee, Stafford. We're looking pretty good for Kenny Pickett. There goes Matthew Stafford right now. So that's going to leave Kenny Pickett as the last of the Mohicans at the quarterback position. I suppose we'll take him if we have to. Getting, again, access to that Pickens, Pat Frymuth stackage that we got brewing there. And again, the correlation is probably some of my best work yet. I love this multi-stack stuff. If we miss on Pickett, it will be upsetting, but not the end of the world. Again, it's just our backup QB, but it would be really nice to get some further correlation going on here. Now, I do feel like a little light at running back. Kenneth Walker, Pacheco, James Cook, Jerick McKinnon. I do think we need at least one more. Raheem Mostert starting to fall. With the potential Dalvin Cook signing in Miami, I think all the Miami backs are, down about a round, just from a few days ago. And we are on deck. Please, oh baby, please, please, please. Dude, Taysom Hill, he was in the positive pub today, just getting moved all around the offense. We grabbed Kenny Pickett there, so we're good at quarterback. Joe Burrow, Kenny Pickett. I don't have to worry about these two quarterbacks, especially when you get late here. It's like, Bryce Young's fine, CJ Stroud fine, but they're rookies. They're gonna struggle. Brock Purdy, I do like Brock Purdy, but otherwise, like, I don't know what I'm getting from. Definitely don't know what I'm getting from Trey Lance. I don't know if Sam Howell's going to start, the beginning of the year or the end of the year. Don't know if Mac Jones is going to finish the year. I do like Mac Jones, but I think a guy like Kenny Pickett, I know he's going to be starting the entire year as long as he's healthy. And again, those Steelers stacks, man. I got pretty lucky with the thumbnail. I just randomly put George Pickens and Pat Frymouth on there, and that's who we ended up collecting. But yeah, man, really liking this team at the moment right now. We do need probably another running back or two. Probably I do like 5 running backs. Again, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers. We got 6 receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks. This is a really well built squad. We could grab whatever we want from here on out. I mean, at this point of the draft, you're probably going to continue to see more tight ends fly off the board. I wouldn't mind, being out on top of this. And I mean, to get a Taysom Hill here, one, we don't need him. He doesn't correlate with anything on our roster. I mean, I do get Noah Fant correlated at the end of my roster, but is he gonna, swing the needle for me one way or the other? Probably not. I do like a handful of these running backs right now, but it does feel a little bit rich. I'm gonna grab Taysom Hill. He's kind of a luxury pick and basically right at ADP. And now we're done at tight end. We got Pat, we got Irv, we got Taysom. I did mention wanting to get 3 tight ends on the roster, and now we can kind of cross that off. We got tight end and quarterback done, and we got 1, 2, 3 picks left. Maybe we grab, for sure one of each, and then whatever feels good at the end. I think at this point the roster has been built pretty heavily in our favor, and we can kind of do whatever the hell we want now. I have seen some 4 tight end builds. That one would be interesting. We do have both of our tight ends stacked with our quarterbacks. We have a wild Taysom Hill. I mean, if they were to give us Noah Fant, I suppose I think I would be fine with it. I don't think it's completely necessary, but if he's there in the last round, I guess I wouldn't hate it essentially. But anyways, it's going to be a long wait until our next pick here. And now you're starting to see some of the fun running backs fly off the board, like Deonta Foreman, Kenneth Gainwell. Raheem Mostert's still a good pick. Tajay Spears, Ezekiel Elliott. I would imagine we're going to see, maybe after mandatory minicamps, you're going to see some of these vet RBs sign, because basically they need to get themselves prepped for where they're going to be in training camp. All the training camps are going to end up reporting, I think, the last week of July. So, like, if you're Zeke Elliott, you kind of want to know where you're going to be going and at least, get an apartment or something figured out. So maybe you see some of these guys sign in a week or two. I'm talking Zeke. I'm talking Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook. I would imagine these guys are chomping at the bit to figure out where they're going to be playing. But anyways, 16th round. You're starting to see some random receivers come off the board. Not a fan of Wan'Dale Robinson, returning from his serious knee injury. I think it's more of a redshirt year for him, maybe a pup list candidate. I do like Nathaniel Tank Dell. That's a good pick. Marvin Jones. I find myself taking Marvin Jones like when I take Jameson Williams, just because they kind of overlap. Marvin Jones should be a starting receiver for most of the year. But as long as Jameson Williams is out, you're probably going to see Marvin Williams get some decent action. Khalil Shakir, still the favorite to lead that team in slot snaps, I think. I know they have Dalton Kincaid there, but Klishkir's pretty dang good too. We're gonna take an inside slap here at Gus Bus. I don't know what's up with J.K. Dobbins. He was not at practice today. Seems pretty pissed off about no long-term deal. And for me, even if J.K. Dobbins is healthy, they're going to use Gus Edwards in some capacity. If anything happens to J.K. Dobbins, we got a potential league winner in Gus Edwards. And, the random 4 or 5 games where Gus Edwards squirts out a touchdown, cool. We got him as our RB5. And it looks like we got two picks left. 2 picks left. We got the running back. We definitely need one more receiver. Renfro, Claypool, Downs, Hardman, Bob Woods, Darius Slayton. I don't know if we need Slayton. This is pick 196 here. Slayton's ADP is 201. We're on the board here. Brock Purdy should have been picked by now. He's way too past ADP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna take Leonard Fournette just in case he signs. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, if Leonard Fournette signs with the Chiefs, like, are we gonna be surprised? So we'll take one flyer on a vet running back, and then our final walk-off pick will be that tight end or that wide receiver to kind of just finish us off. So let's kind of recap here. At number 4 overall, I went with Cooper Kupp. Came back with T. Higgins. Round 3, DK Metcalf. We acquired Joe Burrow in the 4th, and we start that mini Bengals stack. So kind of like what I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the show. When you get, a few rounds into the draft, that's, I don't go into draft like with predetermined thoughts. I kind of want to let the ADP fall to me. One, you don't know where you're picking, so that's random too. But for me, I got T. Higgins, and I'm like, sure, I'll take Joe Burrow, and let's try and build a little Bengals stack. And then round 5 came around, and because I already had DK Metcalf, I'm like, sure, let's go with Kenneth Walker. I think there's games that exist where Kenneth Walker can get his 115 yards and a touchdown, and DK Metcalf can also get his 120 yards and a touchdown. So I'm liking those two guys. We got 4 of our first 5 picks are correlated pretty well. And then we come back in round 6, and then that's what tied it all together. We have Bengals, we have Seahawks, and then we get a little week 16, we get a little week 17 action for the Seahawks-Steelers game. The Pittsburgh Steelers also play the Cincinnati Bengals week 16. So that's what's kind of creating this lovely 3-way triangle here. A little bit of Isaiah Pacheco, Chiefs, Bengals correlation. James Cook was a wild card. I could have taken anybody here, but I think we just needed a running back 3. I really like James Cook. He's a talent I want to bet on. Hopefully Dalvin Cook stays away from this team, and James Cook is just the elite receiving back there. We get more correlation with Pat Frymouth. A wild Odell Beckham appears just because I think his ADP is going to bump up from this Rashad Bateman news. Bateman is going to bump down. We get more Chiefs correlation with Jerick McKinnon, more Chiefs correlation with Rashee Rice, more Bengals correlation with Irv Smith, more Steelers correlation with Kenny Pickett. A wild Taysom Hill appears. Gus Bus. We got a little bit of a Raven situation going on there, and then a wild Lenny Fournette. And let's see, the walk-off pick here. What do you guys want? It definitely needs to be a receiver. I mean, I think Richie James is going to make this team for the Chiefs. I don't hate that. I kind of like Terrace Marshall. He's been a guy that I've been clicking a lot lately. I don't want to click on Allen Robinson, but there is significant correlation where if Allen Robinson goes out and catches, 600 yards and 4 touchdowns, like that's going to play for us. Let's see what else we got. It's pretty fugly down here. Keep an eye on Calvin Austin. He's the guy that I've been starting to click on in deeper leagues. I don't. It's just our wide receiver 7 guys. I think I'm into Richie James. He's gonna make the team from special teams. I expect him to be their punt or their kick returner, probably the punt returner. And he's probably their best slot receiver. So we could get 2 darts at the Chiefs and keep keep in mind, like Richie James, man, he caught 57 balls for 569 yards and 4 touchdowns for the freaking Giants last year. And he goes, as we talk about him, that's just how it goes. Uh, I don't feel great about only having 6 receivers. Noah Fant, man, like you could just pencil in Noah Fant as like your last pick and it'll turn out just fine. But I'll tell you what, we're going to sign off with a little bit of Terrace Marshall Jr. and call it a day. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much. This is my final Puppy 2 draft of the Puppy 2 contest, and we're feeling pretty good about it. I think this was one of my best correlated drafts. And again, stacks within the stacks, all that good stuff. This was a lot of fun. And hey, if you guys are new to Underdog, definitely check out the link in the description. There's a 100% match deposit link there for you guys. So sign up, get your 100% deposit match, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out thefantasyfellowship.com, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for your time. Happy drafting, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you in a future video. Peace.